I need to, at some point here, ask about Black Lives Matter. This is a very confusing thing for a lot of white Christians, because we hear Black Lives Matter as a tagline and sentiment and a value, but then we also know people will Google it and they'll look up the website and they'll read through the value statements, and there's things in the website and value statements that seem to be very contradictory to what we believe as Christians.
Mm-hmm.
So the question I have, Reggie, is it possible for Christians to say Black Lives Matter without affirming any problematic worldviews that the organization has? And if it is possible, how can we do so in a way that is helpful without promoting whatever the website says? I mean, is there a way to do this? Is there a way to hold this in tension?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, Black Lives Matter started with 3 Black women in Oakland, and it was a response to police brutality. And what they were seeing in their communities was these recapitulations, these repeats of Black kids, Black men, Black women being killed, and there was no sense of outrage about that. And I think that for Black Lives Matter, we can say it like this. No, we don't agree with everything that what they say. We don't agree with every thing that they hold to.
You're talking about the organization that
the organization. But I do think that there's something incredibly inclusive when we say Black lives do matter. We're also reaffirming and humanizing the Black life that is always seems to be ignored when bad stuff happens to us, and that bad stuff doesn't seem to get noticed by our white brothers and sisters. And so when the George Floyd thing jumped off, nobody had any idea that it would become an international phenomenon. Nobody knew that. Nobody knows when a social change or social revolution happens. But I look at it as that whole month of May, 4 things happen. The first week of May is when the Ahmaud Arbery thing jumped off, and we didn't find out, even though it happened in March, we didn't find out till that first week of May.
Right.
And then the second thing that happened was Breonna Taylor.
Right.
It happened in March, but we didn't find out until the second week of May.
Yep.
Then the Amy Cooper in New York, in which this white woman reports this Black man who's telling her to put a leash on her dog in Central Park, and we watch her in real time turn her race and her phone into a weapon, and said, "This Black man is threatening me." And if Chris Cooper did not tape it, it would have been a very different story. And then George Floyd killing happened that next week. Yep. So there's this progression that happens, and those stories don't get put together. And this wouldn't have been and I want to say there's another contributing factor to it is the pandemic. The pandemic actually made us all watch the same thing.
Because everyone's glued to their TVs right now.
It would have never happened if the pandemic was not there. I'm not saying that
no, it's just what it is.
But it was one of the social conditions that contributed to why the George Floyd thing, boom, just jumped off. And Black Lives Matter played a role in each of those incidents in order to kind of bring awareness. This is what's happening to Black people, because, again, going back to white people are living in another world and Black people are living in another world. And those worlds never collide. at any point unless we willingly get outside of our own bubbles and actually interact. Or and for a lot of our white brothers and sisters, I ask this question. So in your social network, how many people of color can you count as actual real friends, not acquaintances, not someone you can point to and say, "Oh, I know George. He's my neighbor down here," who you can actually count on as friends that you can count on when things happen to you.
Yep.
And for most of our white brothers and sisters, they can't do it because they don't have those kinds of relationships. And those kinds of relationship requires awkwardness of learning somebody else who is different than you, who doesn't speak the same language as you, who doesn't use the same social cues as you. And our white brothers and sisters don't want to feel awkward and be embarrassed by those kinds of social cues.